Hello and welcome to Magical Grunge. In this video, I will be sharing what Layne Staley, who is my spirit guide and who also was the lead singer of Alice in Chains and Mad Season, has told me about the spirit world. Now, most of this content is channeled, and that means that my energies and Layne's consciousness and energies align. And then I'm able to ask him questions, and then he tells me his responses. Please remember, these are my own spiritual experiences, and as always, keep what resonates, and if it doesn't, let it go. So I'm going to give a kind of an outline of what's going to be in this video. First will be the first descriptions he gave me of the spirit world, which were in 2006. Then there will be a pretty long question and answer session about spirit world related things, and then there's a couple of short writings, kind of essay type things that he gave me that are channeled about the spirit world versus their earth. Interesting stuff. Then there's also going to be details of the Astral Trip or Astral Journey that he took me on. That was also back in 2006. Very interesting, where he basically kind of showed me stuff from the spirit world, where he is and the areas that he's in there. So very interesting stuff ahead. All right, so the first section is going to be the first descriptions he gave me of the spirit world in 2006. So he described it to me as being a very busy place, full of spirits / spirit people coming and going, working, learning, much like a large city or metropolis type place here. Lots of activity going on. And then he says, this is channeled from him. Back then, I was asking him what it was like then, and he said, "What's it like here? Pleasant, very happy. We, meaning everyone around me and beyond, simply want peace. It's not a place of angels floating on clouds. We can show ourselves as angels sometimes to get your attention. The people here are spirits. They strive for making the world a better place for all. Here, I am not a king or a tyrant, just a fellow spirit, learning from his past." So this is the question and answer section of the video. And the first question I asked him was, "I would like to know about where you are. What can you tell us about it?" And he responds, "It's fun here, really fun. It's hard to describe. It's like the most fun day you've ever had, but more than that. It's like that all the time here." And the next thing he says is, "Everything moves very fast here at the speed of thought. We can travel here very fast, but the physics are different. In this world, the energy is thinner, like water. On Earth, the energy is denser, like molasses. It moves much slower than here. It takes longer to accomplish things there." He continues, he just kind of goes from blurb to blurb about things in the spirit world. The next thing he says is, "There is so much love here, I can barely fathom it. It's everywhere. Love is all and within everything. It's so pervasive in everything we do here. It's in every word we say and in every deed that's done." And he's told me at first it almost made him feel kind of uncomfortable because the love feeling was so strong. But now he's more used to it. Then he continues about this. He says, "In your reality, there actually is no lack of love. You just block it out in your mind. Once you let go of those blocks and really open yourself to it, you'll find it's everywhere." It's very interesting. The next thing he says about the spirit world is, "Everything is very soft here. There are no hard or sharp edges to things. There is a dreamy quality to it. It's a very comforting feeling, kind of like being rocked to sleep by a parent. That feeling is always present here in the background. The vibe of places is much stronger here than it is there. The feelings and emotions of places here are as strong and noticeable as your weather is. So I guess it's like when we walk outside, we know what the weather is. It hits us. It sounds like they're different places they go. As soon as they arrive in new places or whatever in the spirit world, the feeling of the place just hits them just as strongly as our weather does. It's pretty interesting. He continues. He says, the colors here are vivid and unlike anything you've seen on Earth. It's like Technicolor compared to black and white. He says there's also a lot of iridescent colors there, like the way soap bubbles look. That sounds cool. He continues, here everything is fair and just. There is no inequality or injustice. Everything is balanced. And I said to him in response to that, it sounds like a utopia, like what we're looking to accomplish here on Earth. He said, it is. You're working there trying to bring the Earth's societies into alignment with the spirit world's values over time. He says the spirit world is like the blueprint for the physical world. All right, now we're moving on to some more questions. I asked him, what are the places you live like there? And he said, they're like big towns. But I know there's also bigger cities there too, so I think there's different sizes of places there, just like here. Like here there's small towns and there's huge cities. I think it's kind of the same there. But he says, they're like big towns. Buildings are made of glass and stone. The buildings are big and grand. The buildings are constructed with your mind, so they can be anything. Sounds like everything there in the spirit world is sort of based on thought. Like whatever you can imagine, you can actually create it. Then I go on to ask him, do you have schools there? He says, yes, we have schools. They're really big and grand too. Schools are for everybody and they're not exclusive. I think he's talking about exclusive colleges here and stuff like that. We learn about basic love studies. It's hard to describe. I must sound dumb, always saying I can't describe things, but there are literally no words I can come up with to convey what you're asking. It's like trying to recreate a complex algebra problem, which is like our reality, in the spirit world, versus children's ABC blocks, which is you guys on Earth. A lot of detail gets lost trying to break it down. So yeah, it just sounds like it's kind of complicated concepts going on there in the spirit world, and it's kind of difficult to try to translate it down to how we can understand it. What have you studied there? He says, communication, how to reach you on Earth. I study a lot of things. I keep busy and it's never boring here. I love talking to people on Earth. I'm so grateful to be able to do it. Do you have jobs? He says, we have roles, not jobs. What is your role? Teacher, friend, and happy guy. Tell me about how you rest and sleep in the spirit world. We just stop thinking or talking and we just become still. We stop interacting and you just kind of zone out. When we zone out, we don't remember it, just like your sleep is. How much are you aware of things going on Earth? He says, he's laughing, and he says, we're aware. You are our TV, our soap opera. And then he laughs. Sometimes I get this feeling with them in the spirit world. It's almost like the, the pictures for the 50s and the 60s where it shows the whole family kind of gathered around the TV, and they're all watching the TV very intently. That's the way I feel like it is sometimes with the spirits when I'm communicating with them sometimes, because it's like our world is the TV and they're there all watching, and it's really funny, but that's kind of the sense I get sometimes, is like they're kind of all gathered around sometimes watching what's going on with us here, but it's like their TV. And I asked him about food and stuff in the spirit world. I said, do you eat or drink things there? And he said, some. I don't really that much, but some do. He said, some people, spirits, they're really into it. They can recreate going out to eat, they can recreate their favorite foods, whatever they want, anything to do with it. But it's kind of mostly to remind them of living on Earth, and, if they enjoy eating certain foods, they can imagine that they're eating them. But he says he's not that into that. He's not super interested in food, but anyways, he is into drinking things, which I'll go into later. So anyways, what do you miss most about Earth? He says everything, and he says it 5 times, and then I feel kind of a wistful feeling from him. I wish I could come back, but this is the closest I can get. Can you make art there? He says, the whole place is art, and he gives me like this deadpan look. We can create anything we want. It's a living canvas everywhere. Sounds like the We Dreams May Come movie might have been on the right track, huh? Do you like being a guide and teacher for us? He says, I love it. It's a really beautiful feeling to be able to do this. I love the connection so much. It makes me very emotional. What is hardest about communicating with us as a spirit? He says, when people don't listen to me, even when they know I'm there. Some people are good at pretending. Sometimes I upset people when I come around. I don't want to do that either. They feel my energy and it makes them cry. And then I said, well, you do have strong energy. I can see why that could happen. And he says, it's not my intent to upset people, and I am sorry about that. Okay, so that is the end of the Q&A section. Now I'm going to read sort of these little, I guess, I don't know what to call them, little writings, little essays that he's done, little channel things that he's done about different subjects that has to do with the spirit world. So the first one is on bringing the energy of the spirit world into Earth. The spirit world is magical, sparkly, colorful, creative, and alive. What's not to love about it? It goes without saying. It's an awesome place. It's easy to get enamored with it, but you're on Earth for a reason. Please don't let my descriptions entice or distract you too much. Our task here, he's talking about people in the spirit world, or maybe all of us, I'm not sure. He says, our task here is to bring that magic and creativity into the physical world. We breathe it into the physical world and make it a better place by raising the vibration. That is the reason we all come here to Earth, to bring more and more energy and love of the spirit world into our reality and change it in the process. Most people don't do this consciously. This is done through inspiration. Anything that inspires you and makes you want to create, that is us. He's talking about spiritual beings. Spiritual beings are working with you at all times, helping you. You just don't know it. We are incognito most of the time. We're sly that way, he laughs. We love you so much. And then he gives another little add-on to this. He says, artists, creatives, architects, musicians, inventors, and anyone who gets a vision or an inspiration to bring something new into the world is doing what we're here for. Much of these ideas and visions we get are spiritually inspired, but we don't realize it. Over time, all of these contributions by our creatives and artists change society. That's what they're supposed to do. Very interesting. Okay, the next little writing he's got it's about on being in the spirit world versus being on Earth. He's giving kind of an analogy about, so we can sort of relate to it. So he says, and it's music related, he says, coming to Earth for your physical life is like beginning a long tour with a band. You're leaving home for a while. Going to the spirit world when you die is like going home after the tour. Some people love to be out on the tour all the time. They love being on the road. Being home is boring to them and not very exciting. So it's like being in the spirit world can be similar, just like home. It's a great place, but it's got everything you'd ever need. It's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and all the shamrocks too. It's the jackpot. It's wonderful here, and it's not boring, but it's also not challenging in the same way Earth is. Our challenge is to make your world on Earth like ours. To do that, we have to be there a lot. We have to be there working, which means living our lives incarnating on Earth. We can do much more there on Earth than from here in the spirit world. I want to be hands-on, not doing stuff from afar. I like working with people directly. And then I say to him, well, I just have to say, you're doing a heck of a job, great job of working with me from afar. And then he smiles and he says, thanks. I like this, don't get me wrong. I just like being there more, so much more. Yeah, he has mentioned that to me a lot. He really misses Earth, big time. He really, really loves being here, and he loves being like in the physical world, and he loves doing all the work here, even though it's considered to be hard work. He just like thrives on it. He loves it. But this is from his spiritual perspective. It's not to say that he, loved being miserable or anything like that, but he just really enjoys the physical world a lot. Okay, the next thing I'm going to talk about is the astral trip he took me on. This was back in 2006. And I've had some other smaller ones afterwards, but this was probably the biggest one. So next I will describe what I experienced when he took me on an astral journey into his realm. This is done in a meditative state, and it's not a classic out-of-body experience where you're flying around, like what you might read about. It's more of kind of like a journey in your mind. He told me he wanted to show me the place he lived out there. He said they can decorate and design it however they want to their personal tastes. I told him yes, that I'd love to see it because I've never really had the opportunity to see the spirit world like that before. So he had me kind of just close my eyes and relax and envision him, and I just told him, okay, I'm ready for you to show me. And then it switched to where I was kind of whooshing along beside him in this little like portal or something, and then we got to his place. And I started to everything's kind of foggy at first. It's kind of weird, but then things start coming into focus. And so I saw like a community building. It had other units in it. It was like a small apartment or a condo. And I saw a small living room, a dining room, a kitchen, and then there was a couple of other rooms down the hallway. In the living room, I saw a chair in the corner covered with a blanket. There was a standing lamp beside it. I also saw an amp and a guitar sitting against the wall. I saw a desk, a whole lot of CDs, and a couple of large bookcases with lots of books. The kitchen had a big fridge, and it also is the brightest room in the house. The kitchen has like super bright white fluorescent lights in it. And a lot of times he only has a light on in the kitchen, like he doesn't have there's not as much light on in the rest of the house, but the kitchen's just like bright white. Anyways, there's a big fridge, and he opened it for me, and inside, all that was in there was all these like small containers, clear containers full of these multicolored liquids. It was like rainbow colors, like all colors. They looked like Kool-Aid or Jell-O or something like that, but they weren't those things. He said they were some like a vibrational or energetic fruit drinks. They were definitely like vibrational and in nature. And so he wanted me to drink one. I'm like, okay. So I drank a green one. He said that they all had a different effect depending on the color. And it was really refreshing, and it tasted like a light fruit juice, but I don't know what the fruit was. It's like a fruit that I've never tasted here. It was very interesting. And I think that's kind of more what he's more just into, like drinks and stuff like that. Like he doesn't seem like he's big on wanting to like eat a bunch of stuff, but that's just what I picked up. Another room he showed me in the hallway, it was like a bedroom type thing, but it had these 2 white light tables. The tables are made of glass, and it lights up with pure white light from within. The whole room had a white glow due to them. he told me what they were is they're sort of like this therapeutic thing, and you lay down on them and the light makes you feel peaceful and relaxed. And I tried it out and it felt really nice. And he told me the longer that you lay on them, the more it helps and the deeper the feeling gets. It was really interesting there. I remember as I sort of got my bearings and checked out, you know, different parts of the rooms and everything, it's like anything you would look at, if I would look at something, even if it was like the sheets or anything, just anything, the longer you'd look at it, it would start to change and kind of morph, and it would kind of become alive, or you could start to sort of see the energy in it. I don't know how to describe it. It was very interesting. It was kind of subtle, but it was like the more you'd look at something, it would become like it had this magic quality to it, and everything would be, you could tell that as you looked at things, they became magic and living and moving and like all this dimension to it. It's very, very interesting there. Everything has energy that you can feel, even things like pillows. All right, and the last thing that he did when I was there with him in this place that he lives there, he gave me a necklace with it was like a Gothic style cross. That was the pendant, and it was a short cross, like all the parts of the cross were equal. It wasn't a Christian cross, and it was burgundy color with cream details. I have not been able to find anything that looks similar. I've looked on, you know, Google and stuff trying to find something similar. I cannot find anything that matches it. So the cross was sort of like a goth cross or vampire cross. He told me it was for protection, and that's so Layne from what I've found out about him since I've had this communication with him. He's been very protective. He's protective of the people he loves, his family. He's protective of, you know, anyone that he is around strongly. There's a very strong protective streak. I've talked to some other people that communicate with him, and they've also said that they feel that strong protective streak from him too. And last thing I'm going to share here in this video is a little writing that he gave me just concerning the nature of spirits and us and the spirit world and everything, and trying to give some perspective to everything, I guess. And he says, bodies will come and go, but souls are eternal. Bodies are in constant motion, coming to and leaving our world, the physical world, as if in a huge revolving door. Do not focus so much on the bodies themselves, but rather the creative souls and the forces behind them. Souls are like writers, and the bodies and lives they create are like characters created for a play or a movie. Coming to Earth is like being out in the field on assignment. Our true home is not here. We're just here to play our roles and see where our stories may take us. Another thing he's told me a lot is, you know, it's like our lives here on Earth is kind of like being on stage, you know, much like the Rush song, you know, Limelight. And we are on stage here playing our roles, living our lives out, but they're just roles. They're just parts, you know. And then once we're done, it's like we go backstage and then we're just, oh yeah, I was playing that role, you know. And you just kind of hang out with other actors, other people that are doing the same thing. And you're not judged at all for whatever role, whatever your last role was that you played in your movie or whatever it was. You're not judged for that role. You know that you took the role to learn something. So he's told me about that kind of thing too. It's very, very interesting. Okay, well that is going to be it for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. Feel free to comment or like, subscribe, whatever you want to do. Thank you for listening, guys. Bye!